Welcome back to Life Full of Zest, and I am so excited because today we have a very special guest. I have my twin sister visiting me all the way from America. She lives there and she has come down to South Africa for a few weeks, so we've been having so much fun enjoying the beach and enjoying our runs. But the one thing that she's been really struggling with is her calf and her arch pain.
Every time I go running, if it's anything more than 5Ks, it leads to some cramping, and if it's not cramping in my left calf, it's cramping in my right arch. So a little bit frustrating because I really do want to push and keep up with her, but it always leads to that. It's been happening for about 5 or so years, and the only thing that confuses me is it doesn't happen when I play squash, tennis, or hockey. So it seems to be because of a fluid
long distance running. And also since she's been in South Africa, she's actually been running so well. So what we're going to be doing now is just going through some 5 really basic and simple exercises that will help her with her long distance running, and that will just relieve that pain when she is running with us. So we are going to start. I'm going to be explaining the exercise and she is going to be demoing with us today. So what we have here is a hockey ball, a field hockey ball, or you can use a golf ball, anything that's really got a hard surface, and you want to have that with a hard surface below you so it can be effective, and we're going to use that to roll our arches. Then we have a little Theraband. We're going to use this just to do a little bit of mobility and activation before we get into our other exercises. And then we also have a foam roller, and this also helps with that myofascial release of those muscles. Then lastly, we have a little wooden box here, and we will show you a little bit later how we are going to use that. So let's start lying on your back with your head over here. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to place the Theraband around let's start with your tight calf. So you've been struggling with your left calf, so we're going to lie on our back, bring all the way down, bring yourself to the center of that mat, and you are going to place that band on the tips of your toes, so just below your toes over there. And you're going to draw pressure, bringing that leg as high as your hamstrings allow you. Some people do have tight hamstrings, but my sister's got quite a good flexibility, so she's going to have to bring it a little bit closer. And then what we're going to do is point that toe towards the nose while maintaining that resistance. You are pushing that foot up towards the ceiling. So pushing up, pointing toes towards ceiling, and then slowly coming back down. And the closer you bring that straight leg towards your chest, the more of a deep neural and muscular pain you're going to get in the back of that calf. So we're going to just do a few reps of those before we get in lifting and lowering, as we warm our muscle up and get some mobility into that ankle. Then we are slowly going to keep that toe pointing towards the nose, and then we're just going to rock it across midline, and this will give you a little bit of a burning sensation down the lateral, the outside part of your leg. Okay, and again, we're just going to rotate that baby toe towards the nose as we rotate that big toe up towards the ceiling. Good. And then alternating between rocking from left to right. So it's really an uncomfortable feeling, but what we're doing is just stretching out and loosening up that ankle, as well as the smaller little muscles around that ankle and going up along that leg. Alright, so if you're having pain or struggling on both calves, I definitely recommend that you do this on both sides. And then from here, once we've done that little bit of a mobility warm up, we come straight to our box. So we're going to stand up, and I want you to, so you can use a Pilates block or yoga block or a little step at home. So what this is doing, you're going to stand on the edge of the box, both feet, and without falling. And then you want to bring your feet a little bit more to the back, as far as you can, so you're pretty much standing on the edge of it, with the affected leg, you're going to lift yourself up with both legs, and then you're going to keep your affected leg on the block while you lower yourself all the way down below the level of the box. Then use both legs to lift back up and then drop down. So you're going to do 10 of these on each side. Sometimes if you do feel like you are strong enough, like what my sister's doing, she's just lifting herself up and down with that one leg. If you do have a deep tightness or injury, I would not recommend you do that. I would recommend that you assist yourself up with that other foot. So what this is doing is strengthening and lengthening that calf muscle as you're working. So it's doing a nice deep stretch into that calf, and you'll also find if you have really tight arches that it brings quite a nice stretch into that arch of the foot. So you also, depending on your level of strength or level of injury, I'd recommend that you do this 10 times on each leg. So from here, we are then going to come back to this ball, and you're just going to roll your arches of your feet. So the most important thing here is to dig deep into that arch. You want to have a hard surface below the ball, and then that ball is also a very hard surface. So you're getting nice, effective pressure into the arch of that foot. So just rolling around, and then again just spending a little bit more time on the more tighter and more painful areas when you're rolling, and again you'll find that this brings a nice deep release into the arch of that foot. Okay, and again you can do it on the side that gives you the most pain. If it's on both sides, then do it on both sides. A lot of the time people will actually wake up with that tightness into that plantar fascia, which is the fascia that runs along the arch, the bottom part of your foot. So this is a really nice, especially for runners, but hikers, anyone that does a lot of running and movement with their lower limbs will tend to have tight calves and tight fascia. Okay, and then we can continue. We're going to sit back down, and we are going to place your glutes on the mat. You're going to sit down on the mat, and then you're going to extend. So again, we're starting with that left leg. We're extending that left leg onto the mat. You're using your hands to lift your glutes up off the mat, and then you're going to roll forward and back. So this other leg, you can either rest like that, or you can place your ankle on the knee like that, just to apply more weight. So again, you're just rolling down and up along the level of that calf. I would recommend that you start from your ankle and then just slowly ease your way up, and just below the back of that knee you stop, and where you find quite a tight spot, again you can stop on that spot and then cross friction. So you're just leaning left and right, and controlling that weight along the belly of that muscle, and then rolling backwards and forwards. If you find that this isn't effective enough, you could get a bottle of water and place in the freezer, and you could actually use that to roll as opposed to a foam roller if you don't have a foam roller at home. And lastly, once we have loosened up those tight sections, we want to get that activation in. We want to get those smaller little balancing and stability muscles, as well as those glutes fired up and activated, so that when she is running, then she doesn't experience all that tightness and all that pain. So we're going to stand up, and generally a progressive exercise for this will be doing it on an unstable surface. So this mat is actually nice and to a certain degree quite unstable. So you're going to come stand here in the center of the mat. And again, we've been working more with the left leg. She tends to get more tightness and calf pain on the left side. So we are going to start balancing on that left side. So lengthening that body. I'm going to bend that right foot. And now, before we begin, I want you to imagine like there are little tiny men standing under these arches, and they're pushing the arch of your foot up But then you have marshmallows under the ball of your big toe and under your heel, and you're trying to squash that marshmallow. It's growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're trying to squash it. So I like to use these analogies because it helps us understand the type of feel and movement that we want with our foot. So now we're almost creating a suction with that arch of the foot. So we want to also strengthen the arches in the foot so that she can manage when she goes running or does any form of exercise. Now we're going to have a slight bend in that knee. Now we're going to lengthen that spine, drawing those shoulder blades down that back and sucking belly to spine. So if you haven't already seen this, I've got a video where I teach you how to activate your core, so I strongly recommend you head over there. And my sister and I have been working through getting that core activation. So we're sucking belly to spine, very nice, drawing those ribs down, and then a slight bend in that knee. All right, so ready? I would have to ask you, but do you feel like you're really activating in this position? Working really, really hard. Okay, so now we're lifting that right leg off the mat. Okay, and I'm going to bend that knee slightly more. And what we're going to do is slowly extend that back foot all the way behind you. And we're slowly going to lower our hands towards the mat. And as we're just going to hold there, keeping that back straight. So you don't want to lower it too much. And then we're going to drive through that stabilizing glute max, drawing up, leading through that heel into a high knee. And then slowly back to do that same thing. So the key here, while we're doing it, so let's change direction. Let's maybe face that way to do the same thing so that we have a better angle. So we lifting and balancing on that left leg. Come a little bit more back to the center of the mat. Good. And then we're leaning all the way down. So the key here, again, trying not to brace those toes, making sure that arch is lifted, keeping that core tight. And now I don't have to go all the way to the bottom. Driving through that glute, through that heel, stabilizing with that ankle to lift up into high knee and back. All the way back. And you will find if you are focusing on keeping that arch lifted, keeping that back straight and that core activated, it's a really effective and tiring movement. Lifting all the way back up and slowly coming back down. And in this position, we're going to do one more. We're going to be standing in that single leg. And we're slowly going to toe tap across the midline, toe tap in front of you, then toe tap to the side. And that's the movement. So again, the key is here is to maintain that stability. So we're toe tapping, toe tap in front of you, and toe tap to the side. So this should be getting a nice glute activation, making sure that knee stays in that alignment. And again, it's starting to work these little stabilizing muscles while you're going. So yeah, as you can see, my sister's arches are tired. What do you think? How did you feel?
Arches are tired. That activated everything, it feels like. So hopefully it works.
And we're going running tomorrow, so I'm excited. Thank you so much for joining me today, and stay tuned. We are going to have so many more Pilates workouts, and yeah, she has agreed to join me in the next few videos and see you in that next video.